most bananas vehicle I've driven in a long time, if not ever. This is the 2021 Ram 1500 TRX. Some of you can say T-Rex. I don't want to say that. I don't think trucks, Ram trucks. TRX. This thing is absolutely batshit crazy. Okay, first, looks. The outside of the thing. Right off the bat, it looks great in this blue paint. I really like this color for this truck. This is impressive visually, to say the least. It's 8 inches wider than a standard Ram 1500. And the track is pushed out 6 inches. And then you have standard 35-inch tires with beadlock capable wheels. Huge right off the bat. The face is big, the scoop is big. I think it can handle, speaking of the scoop, I think it can handle like 29 liters of air rushing through it or something like that. And this has the system from Stellantis that, like in the Jeep Mojave and the Wrangler 392, filters out water and other crap to just let all the air go in so the engines can breathe and be their best selves. So, yes, on the outside, this thing is big. There's skid plate protection underneath. It is, you can tell right away that this is more than just a standard Ram. On the inside, it is standard Ram, which is very good because these are the probably nicest of the pickup trucks on sale today. The seats in this one feel great. The steering wheel is nice, though you get little bits of Alcantara. I have a friend who bought one of these. He has some carbon fiber trim in his. This one has some glossy plastic in this one. But it is comfortable, has a giant screen that works well, and then I've got 6 aux switches if I want to connect things to this, and I assume that people who buy these will be hooking up all sorts of off-road lights and maybe winches and airing systems and all that good stuff. A gripe I have with the interior is related more to the driving of it. Right behind the steering wheel are the paddles, and Chrysler split them, or Ram split them. So you have 4 paddles, essentially. You know, the 2 on the left are downshift, the 2 on the right are upshift. But right where you'd want to grab them is where the split of the paddles is, and I mean, not that you're going to be paddle shifting this a lot. The 8-speed on its own, especially in sport mode, does a really good job. And I've been driving this almost exclusively in sport mode. And then when you come to the dirt, you put it into Baja mode. We'll get into the modes in a minute. But interior-wise, the paddles, I'm not, you know, I just don't know why they had to split them. Because other cars in this family have the paddles. They're full-size paddles. And you still get the audio controls that are there on this one, too. Another bit of the interior is this little plaque that's in the center, you know, opener right here, center console, cargo storage. It's actually metal, so it gets hot and it's right, and it burns your arm. So I already thought it was stupid to be like, tell you what the name is and how much horsepower and your VIN number and all that stuff. It's goofy, and you don't need this, especially because it burns your arm. But the rest of the interior is great. All your 4-wheel drive controls are down here below the start button, and then right above that is a TRX button that basically brings up the different driving selectable modes on the screen, or you can scroll through them left and right here as well. I'm going to pull those up. I got to turn the screen on though. I got to turn the music down. So I hit the TRX button. It brings me right to drive modes, and you have auto, and then you have sport, tow, snow, custom, mud and sand, rock, and Baja. And that alters the transmission. It turns the paddle shifters on and off. It alters stability control, suspension, and steering. So it alters a lot. And the colors are different too, because like if I switch to Baja from sport, the steering stays in sport, paddle shifters stay on, but transmission, stability control, and suspension have now shifted to Baja. And you can definitely tell the suspension changes. There's clear delineation or design happening between the modes. The Baja mode, the suspension is much softer, you know, which is what you'd want off-road. It's much stiffer in sport, and the transmission and the engine seem to react more aggressively in sport, whereas off-road, maybe you want things to be just a little bit calmer so you can control things more easily. But even though we're on a dirt road, it's still a graded road, so I'm leaving it in sport. And then if you turn traction control off fully, by holding it down and bringing stability control off, this thing turns into a bit of a handful trying to get it to slide around in the dirt. It does it easily, but there's so much mass of vehicle that it's a lot to control. On street, this thing is a monster. The engine is loud. The supercharger whines like it's another Mad Max sequel. The steering is heavy but appropriate. The brakes thankfully work really well. 15-inch rotors front and rear. The amazing bit though underneath, as relates to the chassis, has to be those special Bilstein Blackhawk E2 adaptive dampers. That's a direct shot at what Fox is doing with its live valve tech on the Raptor. This has 11.8 inches of ground clearance. I don't want to kill this bunny. Jesus Christ, bunny. 11.8 inches of ground clearance, but it gets the job done, and the articulation on this is far greater than I expected it to be. When you have, a multi-link coil sprung suspension out back, you can move things around a bit more. And I'm gonna post a photo that we shot while driving this thing so you can see what I'm talking about. I went out for a drive in this with my friend who owns one. He's a photographer. His name is AJ, and he has a channel called Photo Runner that's just getting going, and it's showing some really good stuff. We actually did a collab video talking about these vehicles. We parked his and this one next to each other, and then we took this one up the hill and chatted with it a bit. But you should go check out his channel if you want to see that video. I'll link it in the description below. And that's his photo I'm going to show. So, throttle response is amazing. Car and Driver, I believe, says this will run from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, or they even say 3.7. Motor Trend says 4, and Ram says 4.5. But it's definitely around the 4-second range for sure. Low 4 seconds, potentially able to get it into the high 3s, which is absolutely insane for a nearly 7,000-pound truck. But we have a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 under the hood, making all the noise, and making 702 horsepower, and I think 650 pound-feet of torque. You could still tow about 8,100 pounds, which, is fine. The hilarious bit happens with respect to the payload capacity. I think it's like 1,300 or 1,600 pounds, whatever it is. You're already near the gross vehicle rating for this truck, so as soon as you cannot use the full payload capacity, basically. And there's an option to have this truck with a full-size spare in the bed, which cuts that down already even further, not even to mention space. So the payload capacity is laughable because you're going to hit the gross vehicle weight rating in this very quickly, because it already weighs 6,800 pounds. I think it's like 7,200 pounds or something like that. Maybe it's more than that, but it's not a lot over. Basically, you can't carry the full payload capacity. You can tow, but that's hilarious and ridiculous. I think that spare, by the way, the full-size spare that goes in the bed, I think the wheel tire combo package, it's like 102 pounds in each corner, which is insane. But on road, this drives really, really well, especially, because sport mode tightens everything up. Baja mode is a little too soft for the street, which is fine because it works perfectly off-road. And it's very comfortable. The Harman Kardon sound system sounds amazing, all that stuff. It adds up to a really good driving experience, except for fuel economy. I'm averaging between 6.5 and I'm just finally hit 7 because I was taking it easier the last day. 6.5 miles per gallon. Because it's hard to keep your foot out of this thing and go insane. The noise is intoxicating, the power is intoxicating, the fact that you can just jump this and land comfortably is intoxicating and fun. There's no doubt that for a long time the Raptor didn't have proper competition, but the Ram has just come along to smack that thing around. It has, 250 plus more horsepower than the Raptor. I mean, yeah, the next Raptor sounds great for its running gear, and the Raptor is still just an amazing machine, but it's not going to be competitive with this until the Raptor R comes out. And that is coming out, and it's going to be wicked, I'm sure. But for now, this is the king of the hill, and you have to pay to play. I think the Raptor starts at 56, 58, though most of the ones you see wind up being 70 anyway. This starts at $71,000, which is a ton of money. And this one, as tested, is like $89. So $90,000 for a truck sounds bonkers, but for a truck that can do what this can do, it's crazy. It doesn't break my brain that this truck costs this much, because it is as quick off the line as every sports car, faster than some of them, and then it can also do that in the dirt comfortably. I mean, you're not gonna jump a sports car. I mean, you might, but the landing isn't going to be as good as it is in this one. And then you also have room for all your family, your friends, some stuff in the bed. It's comfortable. It's very well equipped on the inside. And then just that, I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's easy to scoff at the price, but as soon as you put any ounce of thought into the price, it makes sense. The guy I know who bought one didn't even have to pay a markup for it, which is really good to hear. I'm sure there are plenty of dealers marking them up, but it's nice to hear that he found one that didn't. I mean, even on this curvy road, I'm having fun in a car that is designed to just, oh, let's slow down because there's a deer. And where there's one, there's more. It would end badly for both of us, but I think I'd be all right.